Bonjour la classe et bienvenue à la leçon pour aujourd'hui. So today's lesson is going to be a grammar-based lesson, just a little focusing in today on something that you've been learning over the past couple of weeks with this unit on mon enfance in my childhood. And it is a past tense called the imperfect tense. So we're going to have a look a little bit more in depth. So what you'll need to do today is be able to take notes. So you can choose how you take these notes. I don't mind if you type these up or if you write them down. If you were keeping a class notebook and composition book, something like that, then you probably just want to add these in with them. That way you're keeping all of your French notes together. If you're a little bit disorganized when it comes to paper or things like that, then go ahead and you can keep taking your notes down in like a Google folder or something on your Google Drive. Whatever way, just make sure that you're organized with it. I don't really mind. These are for your reference. It's on you. When we come to like do the assessment at the end of the unit, I'll expect that you're going to use these notes that you're taking today to help you like be more perfect in your writing and that kind of thing. This grammar point that we're learning today is not just for this unit. We will keep going with it in the next unit as well, and we'll take it even further. So it's pretty much for this whole semester, what we're going to learn today. So take notes. I don't need to see evidence of those. I just expect that you're doing it by this point in your third year of French. And we're going to finish with a short practice on PowerSchool. So if you are taking great notes and you're paying attention to this video, I expect that you will get great results on your practice on PowerSchool. Okay, so let's unpack this new grammar point that we've been looking at. And in yesterday's lesson, at the end, I was asking you to look at some patterns. So, so I've taken 3 or 4 sentences from last week's text, just to zero in a little bit more. And so I'm going to read them to you in this box right here. So first one is quand elle était petite, elle habitait à Fort Wayne. Elle jouait du piano. J'aimais l'école parce que j'adorais parler aux amis. Okay, so I want you to think about 2 questions. First question is the same as yesterday. What patterns do you see in the language? And the second question then, what does it mean? Okay, so you can go ahead, pause the video and have a little think about what patterns you see. Okay, so for me, one of the pattern that comes up most clearly and that a lot of you were commenting on yesterday in a shared reading is these endings right here. Now, they're not all exactly the same. Obviously, these ones end in AIT and these ones here end in AIS. And I know at least one person was asking why. But quite a lot of you were commenting on like the length of the verbs, the similarities in the endings of the verbs. So the question here is, what does it mean? So have a little think. And we're going to move on. And we're going to explore this in the video. Now, some of you have been kind of identifying what you think it means in the shared reading yesterday, and saying that it looks like a past tense, but it because we know we're talking about childhood, which happened in the past, but it doesn't look like the passé composé, which you've been using before. Like this is not the same endings. So you'd be right. So this is where you can start your notes. So we call the imperfect tense in French is imparfait, which is imperfect. Imparfait, the imparfait. So the imperfect tense tells how things were or what used to happen repeatedly in the past. So this is really important. This is like, you know, in English where we might say, you know, I used to play with such and such person, or I used to live in Texas, for example. So anytime I would say I used to, something, like I used to live, I used to eat, I used to like, or how things were. So like it's kind of a repeated, like over a long period of time, or describing something in the past. This is when we would use this tense, the imparfait. So to form the imperfect, you drop the ONS from the present tense new form and add these endings. So we're going to break this down, and I'm going to explain with some examples what that means. Oops. Okay, let's go to that. So before I tell you the endings, I want you to have a little think right here. What, if you can identify what you think the ending is for AIS? Oh my gosh, I just told you the answer. Trying to multitask, it doesn't work. So for je, it is AIS. I'll put a plus sign so you know that that's the ending. Okay, so I want you to think about tu, il, elle, on. I don't think we've done nu, vous, or ils, elles. So that's okay if you don't get those ones. But see, what do you think the endings are for tu, il, elle, on? Okay, so for tu as well, it is AIS. For il, elle, on, what do you think? AIT. Oui, très bien. For nu, it is IONS. For vous is IEZ. And for il, plural, it is crazier. AIENT. Okay. So those are our, those are our endings that we add on the end. Okay, so let me get rid of this first bit up here. Okay, and you can pause the video at any time that you need to take notes. That's fine. Okay, so the next part is how do we add the endings on? So if you think back, let's take this first group of verbs, the ER, and I want you to think about what it's looked like before as you've been reading the French. I could have changed this one to habiter. Actually, I'm going to change it to habiter because habiter is one that we've been using. So I'm going to change this as we do it, as I'm doing this video with you. This is what we would do in class. All right, so let's take habiter, which means to live, right? So let's say we are taking the present tense new form. So nous habitons. That is the new form in the present tense, habitons. And then it says you take off the ONS. So we'd get rid of this ONS and we'd be left with habite. Okay, so that's what we call our stem. So the first part is what we call our stem. And then this is our endings, and then we would go ahead and add the ending. And doesn't that now look like what we've been writing? Habiter, 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 habition, habitier, habiter. So I might just go ahead and if you're doing this like by hand or taking more time with your notes, I'm trying to do it fairly quickly on the video just so that you can pause as you need to, and I would probably change the color and everything as well, or underline or whatever, so that you're, are these like a different size? No, it's just my eyes. Okay, so, and then obviously right here, it would be j'habite, j'habite. Okay, so you might think, well, that's really simple. Why don't you just say take off the ER and add the endings? Because that's all that it is. And it is for ER verbs. For ER verbs, it does look like that. But we just have to be really careful with, actually, it's not just ER verbs. You have to be really careful with some that it might be a little bit irregular, like aller. Aller is different. Actually, aller is the same for ER. But anyway, you just have to be very careful. The biggest ones that we have to be careful with are the IR ending verbs. So let's take the verb finir as example. And in the new form, let's take off the underline. It is what? No, this is where you have to sing your IR verb endings to really get this. IS, IS, IT, IS, SONS. Well, I can stop there because we got to new. IS, SONS. So this is our new ending. So here, if we take off just the ONS, we're left with finis. Okay, so that looks pretty different, right? That's not just the same as taking off IR. If we just took off IR, it would be fin, but it's not fin. The stem is finis. So then we go ahead and we add our endings. Finissez, 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 finition, finissiez, finissez. Finissez, 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 and this last one, finissez. So they all sound the same, except for the new and foo form. Okay, so you see how that is spelled different, it sounds different, so you do have to apply this rule, and most importantly, you have to apply this rule for finir, for IR verbs. Okay, so this is the one that I'd pay the most attention to. And you might, we're going to come across more ER ending verbs that are the most common. Then, I mean, if I quickly flick back here, then habiter, jouer, aimer, adorer, those are all ER ending verbs. So majority of the time we're going to be using this, but you never know when you're going to use IR. So let's put it in our notes so we have it. You might not use it over the next few weeks, but by the time we get to our next unit, you may end up using it. So let's just finish off with our RE verbs. And let's take vendre, to sell, which means to sell. So if you forgot that, then you can put that to the side. And I'm going to tell us the new form, which is vendons. So nice and simple. Again, it's like just taking off the RE, but it's not necessarily always that straightforward. So there's our stem, vend. And we're going to add the ending. So vendez, 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 vendions, vendiez. Oh. Whoa, what did I do? Vendions, vendiez, vendez. Okay, so the ending's always the same. And I know that the only ones that you've already seen right now are je, tu, il, elle, on. So like the first three. That is the most normal, that is the most that you will be ever speaking. that you'll be using is in this first one. Tu, because I asked the question. Je, because that's your response. And then il, al, because when we write it up or we talk about somebody else, that's the one that we use. But occasionally, especially if you're coming to do writing, you might use the nous. If you're talking about in your childhood, me and my brother and sister, we used to do this. Like, we used to play together or whatever, then you're going to use that. Vous, I do use when I'm addressing all of you, so at least you'll be able to hear it. And you never know when you might want to ask me a question, in which case you should be using vous. And then il, elle, plural, we may not use so much in this unit, but definitely you will in the next unit. But you never know when you might be talking about they used to do this, or they did that when they were younger. So you can go ahead, I'm going to present this so you can see it full screen, and you can pause the video and copy down anything else that you need to that you haven't done from this page so far. Okay, when you're done with that, there's a couple of irregularities because, as always, French always has irregularities. So verbs like manger and commencer have spelling changes in a new form, and they're irregular even in a new form, and they keep these changes in the imperfect tense. So looking over here at, this is the present tense right here. Okay, so in the new form, we have nous mangeons, and we have this E right here. This is irregular because usually we just add ONS, right? But in the present tense, we have this because otherwise it would be like mangon. So the E helps it sound, this G sound soft, mangeons. And so this spelling change that we have here, which is irregular, just continues. Je mangeais, I used to eat, or I would eat. Yeah, so when I was younger, I would eat candy, pizza, whatever. I used to eat broccoli. So this is always the case. Je mangeais, tu mangeais, il ou elle mangeait, ils ou elles mangeaient, but not in the nous. And the vous, so nous and vous don't have the E right here. And that's all that means. So manger is probably the one that you're going to use, and any other verbs which are like that. So manger, nager, you know, I used to swim. I'm trying to think of any other ones like that, but any that follow that same pattern, that same rule. And then the other one is commençons. Now this one you probably have completely forgotten even existed, but it's just here in case you ever do use it. So this is the other irregular. Nous commençons, this little C has a C cédille to make the S sound, nous commençons, and that's continued across even with the, again, the tu, the je, the il, and the ils. It's like this, just not nous and vous. You see here that you don't need the C cédille. And that's just spelling. I doubt that when you come to say it, you're going to say it, je commence. I mean, you're all going to say, je commence. You know, I started school at a certain age, whatever, or I used to start. Probably unlikely you're going to use it, but there you have it. Okay, and then there's one more irregularity. And I'm just going to, before I show you the irregularity, jump back here. And you've probably already identified that the ending here for ete is the same. But what we're going to look at in terms of irregular is the stem. So être is the only verb that has an irregular stem. Oh, pardon. It's the only one. So we don't start, it's not like et, on. It's not like that doesn't make sense. Or actually, because in the original it would be nous sommes. There's no, yeah, so it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's just irregular. And I don't want to confuse you by telling you things which are wrong, because you've already seen and identified that it looks like this. J'étais, j'étais. And so the stem stays the same, but the endings will be different. So il était, nous étions. So the endings are regular. It's just the stem, the beginning part, this était, which is different. And it looks like être, right? So you guys understand it. Okay, so pause this as you need to. I'm going to clear all my drawings off. And you pause this you need to and copy down at your own pace. And then we are done with taking notes. That's it. That's everything to do with the Imperfect. So when you're done, you're just going to test yourself. And this is a way of just kind of practicing what you've been learning and giving it a go for yourself. And so with this practice, like it's put as a practice quiz on PowerSchool, you get like 2 tries. So it tells you whether you got your answers right or not, and then you're able to go back and make any corrections that you need to. So use the notes, use the video that you've taken from the video. You can come back and rewatch parts of the video if you need to. And you're going to conjugate each verb in parentheses according to the subject pronoun. So the subject pronoun is je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, whatever. So here are your verbs in parentheses. These are the ones which you have on your PowerSchool quiz. So I'm helping you out with the video. And so your first one is je. That's your pronoun, je, with habiter. Then you have je with jouer. Then you have tu with aimer. Then you have il with manger, and manger, I've got this little asterisk around it. Oh, why have I got, that's so strange. Why is it like these little things? Okay, manger, you've got this little asterisk around it because remember, it is irregular. And then être is also irregular, so use the notes on that. And then here the pronoun is different. So ma meilleure amie, who is that class? Is ma meilleure amie je ou elle? It's not je. Ma meilleure amie is the equivalent of saying elle, she. So my best friend is a she pronoun. Okay, so you're going to change être right here in this gap according to what it would be with elle. If you didn't say, my best friend was Katie, how would you say that? Okay, I'm going to help you out with that last one. So this last one, my best friend was Katie, would be était. Okay. Ma meilleure amie était Cathy. Okay. So I've given you 1 and you have 5. So you've got 4 left to do yourself. So bon chance, use your notes, practice on that, and then you are all done for today. So merci beaucoup. Au revoir.